All right, welcome to this episode of First Home Hustle. I'm Kim McCarty.
And I'm Dave Stahl.
And today we're going to talk about how to pick your lender and your realtor. So we'll get started with the lending side of things, because that's, of course, the very first place you need to start.
Absolutely.
Is making sure you can even afford to buy a house. So what's the very first thing that you think when you're going to sit down to interview a lender, what should they ask?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to don't go online and fill out a loan app. That's the worst place to start, because you're going to get some young kid calling you back from a call center who has no idea anything about where you are, what you're trying to do, any of that. So First things first, if you're going to call a lender, go online, look for actual lenders. Don't, submit an application online and get who you get. So the things that I look at when I'm looking for a lender, I look at their online reviews. If they all have all positive reviews, that's great. But I look at the bad reviews first.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I do that is because inevitably in the process of doing a mortgage or anything that's complex, something's going to go wrong.
Right.
I want to know what they did to fix it.
Okay.
And a lot of times if there's a negative review, there's a comment from who the review's about underneath it, explaining what they did to fix it.
Okay.
And that to me is more important than somebody having 5-star reviews all over the place, because I get that nobody's perfect.
For sure.
Okay? So that's where I start. I look at the bad ones first. If they don't respond to any of the bad ones, I'm looking for the next person. Okay? Other things that you can look at is how long have they been in the business? Right now, and it wasn't this way, 15 years ago, there's a place called the NMLS Consumer Access, where you can look up any loan officer across the country and see what their history has been like. Where have they worked? How long have they been there? How long have they been in the mortgage business?
I didn't know that.
And that's why, we're talking about people who are hopping around. If you look at their profile and they're like, they were at Bank of America, they were at Chase, they were at ABC Mortgage, they were every year they're somewhere else.
Yeah.
There's,
that's a red flag.
Right. Well, I've always said that it's never about being in the right mortgage company. It's about being the right person at a mortgage company.
Okay.
So people who hop around, they're not people that you want to be with.
Okay.
How quick are they to react? Meaning, hey, I'm going to do this pre-approval with you now.
Yes.
How long is it going to take for you to be able to tell me what I can qualify for, at least based upon what I tell you?
Right.
Okay.
So how long is it going to take for you to say, here's what you can do, here's what I need in order to get this finalized?
Right. In this day and age, you should be able to do that on the first phone call.
Okay.
It shouldn't be hey, today's Friday, let me get back to you Tuesday.
Right.
No, if I call you today, you should be able to pre-approve me today.
Can I add something to that? Because you just said something. If I call you on a Friday and you're going to get back to me on a Tuesday, this is one thing that I think is really important for people to ask lenders. Do you work on weekends? And that's not something that you and I even said we were going to talk about today, but that is probably one of the biggest things you need to be asking. I am always shocked to find out that there are lenders who don't work the weekends. That, for all of you out there, that is usually when you're looking at houses, nights and weekends. And I need to be able, as the realtor in the transaction, call you on a Saturday at 4:00 and go, hey, we found a house. Can I get a pre-approval letter redone with these parameters?
But even to that point, as the buyer, I'm going to put in a contract, but I don't know what my payment's going to look like for this house. I want to know.
Until Monday or Tuesday. Yeah.
I want to know now. So, one thing, we've worked with each other forever. So I don't care if I'm out of town. I don't care if I'm at an event. I'll let you know, hey, this is what's going on. It's going to take me 30 minutes, but I'm going to answer your questions today. And I think that if you're talking with somebody who's really focused on you as the buyer, that you kind of have to be that way.
So that's definitely an important question when you're kind of vetting that lender. Hey, do you work on weekends?
Right.
Are you available? I'm not asking you to sit in your office, 48 hours on the Saturday and Sunday, but at least for my realtor to be able to call you and get a hold of you. That's a great one.
Right. Okay. And probably more important than any of them is when you're talking to the person, does this sound like somebody you can trust?
Right.
can you relate to them? Do you like them?
Right.
Because I mean, if you're at that pre-approval process and you're not like walking in with, hey, I got a contract, can I do this?
Right.
You're talking, it could be 60 or 90 days.
Right. Do I want to talk to this person?
Right. Do I want to be
days?
associated with this guy or girl for 60 or 90 days because they're really kind of a jerk?
Right.
Or the opposite of that of, man, we're done with this, but like next Tuesday, can we go grab a beer?
Yeah. It is funny.
That's much better than the thank God I'm done.
Yeah. It is funny because when you're in the process of buying a home, you talk to your lender and your realtor almost 3 or 4 times a day sometimes during that 30 days that you're in the process, that when you're done with it, you're like, oh, well, now what are we going to do? I'm not going to talk to you every day. No, you're not going to talk to me every day. And there's kind of that withdrawal. If you kind of had a really good relationship and a really good transaction, there should be that withdrawal where you're like, oh, I enjoyed talking to you and enjoyed hanging out with you. Don't worry, we'll keep calling you. Don't worry. But that's the honest truth. Can you communicate with them? Do you want to have a 60, 90-day relationship with this person? Right. For sure.
Other things that I was thinking about, aside from the list that we generated, is, and that this is silly stuff, but it's like back in my head what I'm thinking about. What's their email address? Is it their name at acompany.com or is it their name at gmail.com?
Okay.
When you call them, does it say Google Voice is connecting you to?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it really their phone?
Right.
Is it some fake number that they can cancel tomorrow? I mean, because the whole thing is, you don't want somebody who's all uptight sitting in their office with a suit and tie, but you also don't want somebody who's not professional about what they're doing.
For sure.
So, it's kind of like I tell you all the time, if I can't show up in like a golf shirt and shorts.
What you can't see is in his shorts and flip-flops.
Shorts and flip-flops. If I can't show up that way, we're probably not going to get along real great. But at the end of the day, when we start working on what you're doing, everything that I do about your loan is professional. And that's what you want from that lender you're going to work with. Yeah, they might be casual. They're not a stuffed shirt, but they're also
really
professional. They're professional about what they do and how they handle their business.
So the things I took away from that are, first of all, the longevity of the business. How long have they been in the business? Their reviews, of course, and then also, are they available nights, weekends? That's really important. So really good points. Okay, so now we'll talk about, time to talk to your realtor. We've been approved now. Now we're going to talk to the realtor. And I think for me, the number one question a buyer should ask, are you full-time? That is one thing that when I'm working with a buyer and I'm working on trying to get answers on a contract that we are negotiating or whatever, if they are part-time and they have a full-time job, it takes way too long to get responses. Are you full-time? Because that can make or break a deal.
I said that in the video I did a couple days ago and it's like, I said it and then I got done and I was just like, that's really what happens.
Yes.
Don't talk to your cousin's brother's third sister's wife's husband who sells real estate part-time for people in the family.
Exactly.
Find somebody who's really like, they're full-time and this is what they do for a living day in and day out.
This is how they pay their bills.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
How long have they been an agent? Just like the lender. Like, how long have you been doing this? And how long have you been in this area? Because I know for us, it's important for a realtor to know the area in which they're selling. So we live in a really big metroplex. So there's a lot of different areas that we have to know. How well do you know the area that you're looking in? How many homes a year do you sell? The average realtor really only sells about 6 homes a year. That's the average realtor. And if you think about that, that's really a scary proposition when you're a first-time home buyer competing in a really competitive market with an agent who's only sold 6 homes in a year. You're really giving yourself a disservice because you're going to potentially lose a lot of offers before you get one. And that could have been avoided had you just hired the right agent.
I didn't even know that was the number. Is that really the number 6?
Yeah, it's very scary.
6?
Yeah.
Well, here's a number for average loan officers when we're talking about averages. Average loan officer makes $50,000 to $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
Average.
Yeah.
In either scenario, you don't want the average person.
Right.
because the average person doesn't know everything that they need to know to be able to get you in the house that you want to be in.
Well, and I think that with the longevity comes experience. Like you've seen different things. Like okay, this has happened to me in the past. Here's what I've done to fix it. Just like those online reviews. What happened in the past? How did you fix it? And that's the same thing with the longevity of an agent. We see a lot of different things, and we go, okay, won't do that again. We're going to do it this way this time. So that's one thing. Will I be working with you or someone on your team? Teams are big. And if you have a team, am I going to be working with you specifically, or am I going to get your buyer's agent? Now, I have nothing against teams. I just think it's important that they say that up front. Hey, you're not going to get me. You're going to get my teammate who is the buyer's agent. For us, our team would be Keith and I, and they may get me, they may get Keith, but they know at the very beginning, here's how it's going to work. Usually if I'm too busy on another appointment, then Keith's going to show you. The bottom line is, can I get in the house that I want to get in to see? Or am I going to have to wait for you or your team member to get back to me, and at 24, 48 hours later, house is gone, right? So then that rolls into what do we do if you're out of town, right? Because agents do have a life too. We do go on vacation. So I already have a plan in place that I have 3 agents that already know if I'm out of town, here's who's working, here's who it might call you, here are the houses we're into and that we've looked at, here's all their information. So make sure they have a plan for when they're out of town. Now, although we still have our phone and our computer, I can still negotiate, but I can't physically show you the homes. So what's the plan? So have a plan. Let's see. How do you help buyers in this tough market? I think that's also for a realtor. You need to have a plan. And if you're not asking that realtor, what's your plan? How do you compete with multiple offers? What is your plan to set us apart? Because as a first-time home buyer, you may only have that 3 or 3.5% down. Well, how am I going to compete with that when someone's got a conventional 50% down? How am I going to compete with that?
And the sad thing about it, if you haven't watched this YouTube video and just heard that about multiple offers, you might not know to ask that question.
Exactly. It is probably, when you're interviewing, other than how long have you been doing this, how am I going to win with multiple offer situation? How do you set me apart with what you do? And I go through a whole process with them on how we're setting them apart from any other agent. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you that unless you decide to work with me. Because if I disclose that to you and then you go hire somebody else, now I'm competing against myself in a multiple offer situation because I gave up all my good information.
See, there's so many other things that I should have added to my list, because every one of these things that you say about real estate agents, about am I working with you or am I working with your team?
Yeah.
Same as a loan officer.
Absolutely.
Am I working with you or are you going to pass me off to somebody?
Right.
Who
am I getting?
Yeah. If you go on vacation, who do I work with? Mm-hmm. How long are you going to be on vacation? Are you coming back or am I stuck with this person?
Do you know that 99% of the time our clients don't know we're on vacation? Unless I have an active buyer that is like really looking for something,
right.
They don't even know we're on vacation because I can handle everything over the phone. I can answer questions. It's only if I've got that immediate situation that I have to say, okay, I'm out of town, because people, they get nervous. They get nervous about what are you going to do? How you can, we'll just find somebody else, right?
Well, and that other thing about what you do that's different than other people do. Same thing for a loan officer. If you call somebody and your situation's difficult and they come up with a solution that nobody else came up with,
right?
Shame on you as the buyer if you take their solution, their hard work and effort, and go teach it to somebody who didn't know it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's because if they didn't know it to start with, they don't know how to deal with it as you go through it. But you just took that idea that somebody else gave you and gave it to somebody who didn't have a clue.
Right. Exactly. The other thing I get a lot, and I think it's important, do you have a list of vendors that I can call on, right? So inspectors, of course, and lenders, those are the first 2 things that they think of. But once they own that home, do I have a list of vendors that can come repair the AC, come replace the flooring when they're ready, all of that? So make sure that agent that you're working with has an amazing vendor list. And we give them our vendor list when they come and sit with us. And I always say, here are every every person that we work with, plus there's more that are on our postcard that you can call on, roofing, painting, whatever it is. Ask them, do you have a really good vendor list? Because we're going to need it, right? And then the last thing, do you have references? Do you have references that we can call? I don't know. I know that for a fact that people have called references in the past, but I don't know how often they call them. Of course, we're not going to give them bad ones. We're only going to give you good ones. But, I mean, do they call them and ask some serious questions that maybe I didn't think to answer? So I think that's important. Asking, hey, do you have some references of people that have purchased in this price point that we can talk to, right? You're not going to give them a price point that they don't even relate to. You're going to give them the similar price points. And we have that for people. So just a few things. I mean, anything that you think of that I didn't touch on?
Well, I think generally, and if you start talking to somebody and it feels wrong, it probably is wrong.
Right.
And, if even if you get a couple weeks in and you're just like, man, this just isn't right. They're not doing things the way I want to do them or the way that I would do them. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Well, and you brought up a good point with the whole family, situation, and your brother or your sister or whatever is a realtor, part-time, maybe sold 2 houses this year. I offer to those that come into my office and say that to me, I offer to pay a referral fee to their family member, right? So it gives them the opportunity to feel like they're still giving to their family, but they're using the expert that they feel like they need to hire without cutting the family completely out of the mix. So I do offer that as well. So that it opens, you can't do that. But I think it's important for people to know, like, I really don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Well, is this an option? So ask the agent, hey, my dad is an agent and I don't really want to use him. Is there a way we could give him a referral fee and we could still use you? The answer should be yes.
Similar situation. I do occasionally have people call me that goes, hey, my brother works at XYZ lender. We ran into a hiccup and, they don't think they can do it. So on my end, I don't want to steal the brother's business.
Right.
So I'll go, all right, here's what you tell your brother to do. And if they can do that, you stay there.
Yes.
If they can't do it, call me back and I can do
you.
it. So in that scenario, I'm okay with giving away the insider secrets on how to get loans done.
Right.
But if it's something where you're just starting out and they got no clue, you need to find somebody else.
For sure. All right. So just the few takeaways. Give us your top 3 and I'll give you my top 3.
Top 3. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Okay.
Absolutely look at their online reviews or call their referrals.
Right.
And look at the worst ones first. 3. If they don't know, they don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If their ability to say, I don't know.
No. If they don't know how to do it and don't know how to put it together,
okay,
and they can't get you from where you are to where you're trying to be, they're not going to know later if you tell them how either.
Okay. They're not the right fit then.
Right. You need to find somebody who's experienced doing what it is that you're trying to do, rather than to teach them how to do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
You're the buyer. You're not the loan officer.
For sure. Okay. My top 3 would be make sure they're full-time, for sure. What's their plan when they're not in town? Is there a plan? And with that plan, who am I working with? And then the last thing I would say is, how are you going to set me apart in the tough market that the first-time home buyers are seeing right now? Like, what is your plan and how does that look? I think that if they don't have a plan for you and it's not already written out with something that they show you and explain to you, because ours is written out, it goes through numbers, it says everything that they're going to need, then you need to probably look for somebody else. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right.
How do they find you?
If they want to find us, they can find us online or give us a call at 214-662-9308. How about you?
You can find me everywhere online, or you can call me 972-896-8790.
And remember, if you're looking anywhere, we can help you anywhere in the U.S. find the perfect lender and the perfect agent for you.